So nice to meet you, Dustin. My name is Gabriel. I am the creator of Minnesota Vikings Brazil project.
Okay.
We've had the podcast since 2017, but just few weeks ago we started doing episode with international people, and we want to somehow draw attention for the Minnesota Vikings, so that they know about us, about the existence of Brazilian profile dedicated to cover the team from Brazilian fans. We've already recorded with Thor Nystrom, Daryl Wolfson, Tyler Fornes, and Dustin Baker. So it's a
Sure.
pleasure to have you here with us to help promote our project, to get to know you, your story, and of course talk about the Minnesota Vikings.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm surprised that I get to be on with so many great guests as you guys had before. So I'm honored to be on here. Thank you.
My pleasure. So to start, if you don't understand any question or word what I say, please be patient because this interview thing in English is new to me and I'm
Sure.
not fluent, but I promise you do my best. But everything will be fine in the end, okay?
Yeah. Hey, sounds good. I'll try to piece together what I can get.
Okay.
You're doing great so far. So
Thank you.
yeah.
So basically, the first question is about your life. Could you introduce yourself for the Brazilian public? You can say what you do, share your social medias, and anything you want to say.
Sure. Yeah. My name is Dustin. I'm mostly on TikTok and Twitter. You guys can find me on TikTok at ThatVikingsFan. I do lots of Minnesota Vikings related content on there. Try to be very optimistic about the team, news related. I do training camp. I go to a lot of games, so I get a lot of footage there as well. And then on Twitter as well, or X, whatever you want to call it. I post a lot of Viking stuff there, some personal life stuff as well. Very fun stuff. And yeah, I've been a Vikings fan for pretty much my whole life. I was born and raised in Wisconsin, just the next door neighbor to Minnesota. Moved to Minnesota just a little over a year ago now and have loved it ever since. So yeah, excited to talk some Minnesota Vikings today.
Hey Dustin, I'd like to introduce myself just a little bit. My name is Henrique. I've been a fan since 2016, I guess.
Okay.
Been writing for the Purple PTSD Vikings Territory duo since 2021, and for some reason me, Gabriel, everyone in Brazil, we love this team that basically destroys our soul every Sunday, even though
Every
we're
year.
thousands of miles away. You said you've been a Vikings fan, basically your whole life, but being
Mhm.
born in Wisconsin, how was the dynamic? Being from Wisconsin, the Green Bay Packers are from. I don't know how close the city was from Green Bay. Do you have any relatives that are Packers fans? Do you have any dispute in your family? This kind of stuff.
Yeah, so obviously being born and raised in Wisconsin, my relatives were all pretty much Packer fans. A couple of other fans mixed in here and there, but yeah, being the only Vikings fan in the family, it sure was rough, especially with the Packers beating the Vikings a couple times, throughout the season, throughout the couple of years too. Yeah, no, it's definitely been rough, and I'm glad I get to be in, I guess, my home state now with the Minnesota Vikings and get to cheer with everybody else with the same team as I do. So.
I think one of the most difficult things for us in Brazil is getting access to stuff, just basic stuff. Going to training camp, going to games, having information is a lot easier. And then guys, we relied so much on updates from everyone, clips from training camp like you do. So let's talk. Let's use you in quotes just to further that information. Being in training camp, I think you went. I think every day that was open to public, you were there.
Pretty much. Missed one day, but yeah. Other than that, I've been there pretty much every single day.
So we just want to start talking about a little bit of what you've been seeing. So
Sure.
how from the days that you've been there, how much the team is evolving? From everything we saw last year to mini camp, OTAs, and then training camp. especially this past couple of days with repeated practices.
Yeah, so I don't know how much has, I guess, really changed from last year, but the defense, like just for example, just today, the defense was on fire. Not much spark or too many highlights from the offense, but a lot of good things from the defense today, which we kind of been wanting to see from the past couple days of training camp, where the offense has just been on fire. Sam Darnold throwing long bomb touchdowns, JJ McCarthy throwing some great balls as well. And, the corners really haven't been playing that well in training camp. And I don't know if they necessarily played great today, but they were doing their job. And it is mostly the linebackers and defensive line today. And I think that's definitely a step forward from, the past couple of days at least. So I think the guys that are also a second year into Brian Flores' system, they're definitely taking a step forward. Even new guys, rookies like Levi Drake Rodriguez, he's doing really good as well. He had a couple good pass rush attempts today, pushing Garrett Bradbury back. And we have some new signings here too. We got a new safety, a new corner. They're all getting first team reps because I think Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores are trying to get the best personnel out there. And, it's hard when you only have like 5 corners to work with. I know I'm exaggerating, but still you got to work with what you have. And yeah, I think within the past couple of days, you're definitely improving day by day.
So you've been going viral on Twitter recently with your training camp videos. Is that something you planned or just happened? And it's true that people on the Viking staff were upset about your videos?
Yeah, so I'll kind of speak on that part real quick. So
Okay.
when I was first recording the videos, I knew of the recording rule. You're not supposed to. So I just thought, okay, maybe 1 or 2 videos wouldn't hurt, but I ended up posting a lot. I was kind of breaking the rules at that point. I'll admit that. But someone close to the Vikings messaged me and they were like, hey, just out of common courtesy, we don't want you to record videos. Obviously, it's not illegal or anything, so I wouldn't get in trouble. But it's kind of like hey, we would like you not to do this. So kind of cleared up with them, and they just basically said, hey, if you are going to record videos, make sure you're not getting the full field, you're not getting formations, just kind of like all 22 film, if you will. So I kind of found my way around it, and just kind of zoom into the play at first, and then you can kind of zoom out, and then I kind of have been getting by with that, tongue twisters. So yeah, other than that, what was the first part of the question? Sorry.
It's you planned to do this video?
Yeah,
or just happen?
Yeah, so with the Twitter videos going viral, I think that also kind of has to do with not many fans uploading videos as well too. So it's hard to say that I don't plan on going viral with a lot of those videos, because me and Strictly Leighton, he also posts videos as well. So between us two, we're the only ones that post videos, and we're the only ones that get the content. So that way that fans like you guys that aren't able to attend training camp can see what's going on and see those plays, not in person, but just see them play out, per se. So yeah, it's really cool to get that recognition from other guys. Like Chris Carter followed me on Twitter. Jordan Addison's been sharing my stuff, so it's been really cool to see that kind of go by. So
we really appreciate our videos.
Yeah.
Hey, even if I'm baking in the sun, I still got to get that content out for you guys.
Thank you so much, man. So I don't know if this is the first year this was happened, but what has it been like for you to be mentioned as a news source by other content creators?
So what you're saying, what's it like to be
people tweet about your videos and going viral, right?
Mm-hmm.
How you feel about that?
it's real cool to kind of get, I wouldn't call my account small by any means. It's also not big, but it's cool to get that recognition from these bigger accounts too. Kind of get that video out there for other fan bases to see, because I think that's pretty beneficial to see, other rookies, how they're doing it around the league. Guys like Bo Nix, Drake May, you see other videos of them.
Yeah.
They're kind of struggling in camp, whereas JJ, he's only thrown like 1 or 2 interceptions all of camp and lots of touchdown throws. So it's really cool to see other guys around the league as well. So my videos can kind of surface around. Lane's videos can kind of surface around. And yeah, it's really cool to get that recognition.
Just again, we only have access to videos that the Vikings post that are in highlights. They're like, you can basically see anything by those. You also have your videos. But again, as you said, you can just film the All-22, the whole field, just like focus on maybe 1 or 2 players. So speaking at your experience of seeing everything, you can post, but of course you're seeing the whole field. I would like to ask you about 2 position battles. One that no one is talking about, but I'm really curious, is the punter position, between Seth Vernon and Ryan Wright. And of course, we have to ask. I think it's what everyone wants to know: is the JJ McCarthy versus Sam Darnold. You already said that McCarthy is having a good camp. Everyone's is talking about that. Yep. But I think Tyler said that on another show that sometimes he's really taking his time. Maybe 5-6 seconds to throw the ball. So, what's your takes on these 2 position battles?
Yeah, so as far as the punter position battle, to me personally, I don't know if there's much of a battle, because I feel like Ryan Wright has mostly gotten those special team reps, I guess, for the first team. Seth Vernon, he is no knock on him either. He's been really good too, but I just feel like Ryan Wright has kind of gotten those first team reps with the special teams, punting, holding, whatever it is. So I think it's a healthy competition for that special teams, especially for punter, for a guy like Ryan Wright, where he kind of struggled a little bit last year, and it's just kind of a camp body for Seth Vernon. I think he could possibly get picked up by another team that does need a punter. I don't know if he's, starter quality quite yet, but he's a big guy. He almost looks like a linebacker out there, or like a tight end or something. So it's really different to see him compared to Ryan Wright. So other than that, I think the punter position battle is probably going to lean towards Ryan Wright, the veteran, and we'll just kind of see what goes on from there. Preseason is kind of where it's going to come down to, because that's where you get your live game action instead of just practice. So we'll see how that goes. And then Sam Darnold and JJ McCarthy, the past couple days outside of yesterday and today, I think that, or I guess Wednesday, sorry, JJ McCarthy has really been leading that position. I'll put in air quotes battle, because I think Kevin O'Connell really has a plan for both of them. And I think he's going to start Sam Darnold regardless week 1. And that's just my gut feeling. That doesn't mean that things could change. If JJ McCarthy has a really good rest of training camp and preseason, I feel like, that's something that KOC would have to think about. And Sam Darnold has looked really good today. I think he's outperformed JJ McCarthy today. I'll be the first to admit that. And then Wednesday was kind of a slower day too, where I think Sam Darnold kind of edged out JJ McCarthy in that day as well. So other than that, it's been a really close position battle the past couple days, where JJ McCarthy really has led that race for a couple days. And it'll be super interesting to see what Kevin O'Connell does. The first week, by the bye week, whenever he decides that JJ McCarthy is ready to start, or if Sam Darnold is struggling, or whatever the case may be. So I think it's a really interesting battle to watch for.
And of course, we have to talk about the wide receiver 3 battle. This is the 3rd year in a row that we've heard great things about Jalen Naylor, but we haven't seen him on the field yet. Do you think he will finally make an impact, or maybe someone like Brandon Powell will take the wide receiver 3 spot?
So I think personally that although that Jalen Naylor is having a really good camp, and I personally would put him at that wide receiver 3 spot, hoping he stays healthy, because I'm a huge Jalen Naylor fan, at least for the Vikings. So yeah, I'm all for Jalen Naylor making that wide receiver 3 spot, but I feel like Kevin O'Connell is going to go with the guy that he knows that will stay healthy and be on the field, and that's Brandon Powell. So I think there's no designated wide receiver 3 spot. I think they'll kind of mix between Jalen Naylor and Brandon Powell, kind of that wide receiver by committee. What they do with running backs, where Aaron Jones isn't going to be the lead horse. It's going to be a mix of running backs. So kind of like that, but with the wide receivers, or at least wide receiver 2 and 3 maybe. So we'll see how that goes as well. And like I said, Jalen Naylor, super strong camp. Brandon Powell has just kind of been that reliable guy as well throughout camp. And, most of last year as well, is that kind of wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 type guy. So it'll be super interesting to see how he does in the preseason as well.
This draft class will be defined, of course, by J.D. McCarthy and Dallas Turner, mostly by McCarthy, but we still have a couple of other rookies. Of course, sadly, we had the Kyrie Jackson tragedy, but of the other rookies, including the FAs, we had Will Richard, Levi Drake, that had some reps with the ones, I think today.
Mm-hmm.
Gabriel Murphy, Ty McLaughlin, Walter Rouse. How good they have been in camp? Do you see some of them having an impact, maybe pushing for a starter job?
Yeah, outside of a guy like Dallas Turner with that first round talent, I think not in order, but guys like Levi Drake Rodriguez, as you mentioned, Dwight McLaughlin, some other guys as well. They're really making an impact, on these. They're all getting sprinkled into that first team rotation with the defense, which is really cool to see, because Levi Drake Rodriguez is doing really good versus, the second team offense, just getting that push. And then with the first team, he's still getting that push as well, which is really nice to see, because I think the Vikings are really missing that interior defensive lineman to get to the quarterback. And we'll see how Levi Drake Rodriguez does. It'll be a super interesting position battle to watch, because outside of Harrison Phillips, the Vikings really need that interior pass rush. And, we have really good outside guys, but we just need someone on the inside. Dwight McLaughlin, he's doing really good too. Still a rookie, but he's getting first team reps. I thought he's been pretty good the few times that I've kind of seen him on the field, or kind of watched out for him. Other than that, some other rookies, a couple of offensive linemen are doing all right. Haven't really focused on too many other guys, but even the rookie kicker, Will Reichert, he's doing really good. Only missed, maybe a handful of kicks. I can count as many on one hand on how many he's actually missed in camp, and 2 hands on how many he's actually made. So I think this is a really strong rookie class, if they can put it all together. And like I keep mentioning too, in the preseason, that's where we're really going to see these guys shine, outside of just going against your teammates in practice. So we'll see how that turns out.
So our running game has been a problem since Kevin O'Connell became the coach. Of course, this was due to the fact that the game plan was focused on the passing game. But do you think that with the arrival of Aaron Jones and the help of Ty Chandler, this will be the best year of running game with the hands of KOC?
Yeah, so I feel like, ever since we lost Dalvin Cook, or even Dalvin Cook's prime in 2020, we really haven't had that, top tier running back or run game, really. Outside of Alexander Madison, last year really didn't live up to the hype, really. 2 years before that, we had the back end of Dalvin Cook. So I think with Aaron Jones coming, to the Minnesota Vikings, which I just love this signing, and every day that goes by, I just I'm just in shock that he's still on our team. So no, I think he's going to be a really good asset to the run game and the pass game as well, because he's a really good pass catcher. You'll see highlights of Aaron Jones like catching end zone passes from Aaron Rodgers or Jordan Love or whoever it was. So he has really good hands. He'll be a really good or really huge part of this pass game as well. And Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings offense is a pass heavy offense. And I think what really struggled last year too is that lack of a running game, where Madison, maybe his best game was 70 total rushing yards, and I don't think we had a rushing touchdown until like week 7 or 8 in the Green Bay game, and that came from Cam Akers. So the running game I think will be much improved with a guy like Aaron Jones, if he can stay healthy. I'm hoping he does. And, splitting the carries with Ty Chandler, another really good back that the Vikings really like too. So, yeah, I really like that running back duo.
Me and Enrique was talking about CJ Ham get more involved in running game too. I think yesterday.
Yeah.
He needs to be there for more snaps. I think.
Also, one thing that I've mentioned, I think the last 2 interviews, there's some idea that I had. With Addison most likely facing a suspension, the lack of depth in the wide receiver after we lost KJ Osborne. Have you seen maybe in camp O'Connell mixing more 12, 13, or 21 personnel in the first team? Or maybe Tonyan, of course, Hawkinson's injury, but Tonyan Oliver or Oliver Muntz, something like that?
Yeah, so throughout training camp, I've seen a lot of tight end usage, and it's really nice to see because, even with the Hawkinson injury, Kevin O'Connell still trusts his tight ends. He really likes Johnny Munt. He really likes Josh Oliver. And I think that tight end group, even guys down the depth chart a little bit too, Nick Muse, they really like. So I think this offense is going to be really reliant on their tight ends. Outside your really good wide receivers in Jefferson and Addison, their tight ends are extension of, the pass game too, obviously. So with Hawkinson missing the first couple games, if he does, and then Addison missing a couple games as well, possibly with a suspension, the Vikings will definitely be heavy on those tight ends and the tight end room. And they're going to be mixing in those tight ends too. So guys like Johnny Munt will be getting that Hawkinson role. Josh Oliver, Nick Muse will be getting in there, and maybe Robert Tonyan as well, because he's had a really good camp as well. So, the Vikings are really going to be heavy on that tight end rotation in this offense. A lot of play action, a lot of run blocking, a lot of pass catching, everything under the sun. So it'll be really cool to see.
Speaking of TJ Hawkinson, what have you been able to see about him? I think a couple of insiders said that he's been really good, like sprinting on the side field. He's looking every day more like he was before the injury. What have you seen about him?
Yeah, so the Vikings fields are kind of laid out. They mix it up every year, but the way they have it is the nearest field is all by the fans and stuff. Then they have a second and third field. Hawkinson is way on the far third field, and so it's kind of hard to make out really who it is. But fans that really know the team will recognize who it is because he has long hair. He's a bigger guy. So other than that, he's been running around doing footwork drills. He looks really good, rehabbing. And I'm not a doctor by any means, but I think he looks really good. And I don't know if he'll be ready for week 1, but he looks awfully close. And I know running is different from, route running and cutting and all that stuff. But yeah, no, he looks really good. I think he's progressing really well.
So what about the 2022 draft class? We have, I think, Andrew Booth Jr., Lewis Cine, Brian Zamoa, Ty Chandler, Eddie
Jacqueline
Ingram,
Roy. We had to talk about
Jacqueline
Jacqueline Roy.
Roy. Yeah. Ryan Wright that mentioned before. But I think Andrew Booth Jr., Lewis Seen, and Brian Zamoa, we can agree that they were all disappointment. Do you believe that any of them will still make the team?
Kind of looking at it now, I feel like, a guy like Lewis Seen, I don't know if he makes the roster. He's been hurt the past couple days of camp and just really hasn't seen much action in training camp in general. And I've kind of heard reports of, him not being able to grasp the playbook just mentally. It's not that he can't play. It's just that he can't get Brian Flores' defense. And he was made for the Ed Donatel defense where things were a little bit more simple and things like that. So as far as Andrew Booth, I think that the Vikings are going to need him regardless, unless they can fill his spot with someone, a little better. Because that cornerback room is really, really thin. And as we all know, the Vikings keep signing guys, guys like Fabian Moreau and, maybe a potential like Stephon Gilmore. If the Vikings can keep adding those guys in, I think that will kind of be the final kick to Andrew Booth getting out, off the roster. So other than that, Brian Asamoah, I think he's having a pretty good camp as well, kind of under the radar. Not too many splash plays, but he did blow up a screen pass today, which was really cool to see. He's been kind of flying around the field quite a bit the past couple of days. Other than that, the 2022 draft class just really hasn't panned out, I guess the best way to say it. So, the last 2 years, the Vikings have drafted pretty well. Kwesi's done pretty good, all contributors. So I'm excited to see how Kwesi does, in the next couple drafts, because I've heard that the Vikings really want to extend Kevin O'Connell and then possibly Kwesi as well to see, they're first going to see how all these rookies pan out too. So yeah, I think the 2022 draft class definitely had some work to do, but yeah, we'll see how camp goes and just kind of go from there.
Henrique, calma aí. Is there anything we didn't ask that you think is interesting to say about training camp or some player?
I think we pretty much covered everything.
Okay.
I know that after the show I'll probably think of something, but yeah, as of right now, JJ McCarthy's been looking pretty good. Guys like Levi Drake Rodriguez is looking really good. Tristan Jackson in that wide receiver core, that they're looking really good. So yeah, everybody's just kind of in their own spots, improving off of last year, and excited to see, I know it's just preseason, but I cannot wait for next Saturday to watch our Minnesota Vikings go against the Raiders. So yeah, it'll be super fun.
Before we go to our last questions there are about Brazil, I would just like to ask about two more players. One that I just thought about like 2 seconds ago, and another that I think is maybe having one of the best camps in the team. Theo Jackson and Danny McBride. McBride was someone that people said, what a nice pick that the Vikings had in the 7th round. Went to the practice squad last year, and we heard literally nothing about him. So what have you seen about McBride, and what you can say about Theo Jackson's camp?
Yeah, so with that running back group, outside of Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler, they really haven't been using a lot of those running backs. Myles Gaskin's been used a little bit. Haven't really seen much of Dwayne McBride in that offense. But a guy like Theo Jackson on defense, I don't know if you guys know Mr. Mankato, the award of, just like not a well-known player, I guess, on the Vikings, making an impact in camp. So they call him Mr. Mankato. I don't know if he's eligible for that, but he's had a really strong camp. That safety room is looking really good. Harrison Smith, I think he might be in his last year. You got Josh Metellus, which I don't know if he really plays safety. He plays defense. That's all he plays. He plays every single position practically.
Yeah.
And then Cam Bynum looks really good. I think we have a top 3 safety room in the league, honestly. So Theo Jackson making plays everywhere. So it's really cool to see. Bobby McLean is kind of getting in there. in that first team defense. So yeah, it's really cool to see that as well.
Then going to our last questions about Brazil. Brazilian podcast, we have to ask. For the first time in history, there will be a gameplay in South America, here in São Paulo, Brazil. We've been asking these two questions for to everyone. Now, what are your opinions on a game being played here in Brazil and in South America, and the league's attempt to be more of an international brand, trying to be maybe like the NBA in I think the whole world, MLB in Asia, and Spain also receiving a game in 2025?
Yeah, I think it's really good for the league, to be honest. You know, they kind of started off going to the UK and then kind of branching out to Spain and, you know, now Brazil and all these other countries. And I think it's really good because there's fans of the NFL in all these different countries, and they don't get to see, you know, these NFL teams in person like everybody else does in the United States. So it's really cool to see the NFL kind of branch out like this and, you know, have these games played in, you know, Mexico, Brazil, UK, Spain, you know, everywhere. So it's really cool to see them branch out, and it's really cool for the fans. You know, if you guys ever get to see the Vikings play in Brazil, you know, one of these years, you know, you guys would definitely have to go, and I think it'd be a great opportunity for you guys.
It should be us this year.
I know.
You should have.
It would have been really cool.
Yes.
Yeah, so the last question was about Brazil, of course. And what do you know about Brazil? It could be anything. But if you don't know, don't worry. We can teach you something.
Yeah, I think you guys might have to teach me a little something because I don't know too much about Brazil.
Okay.
You know, I just know that they have don't they have a rainforest over there?
Yeah.
Or something like that. Yeah. So yeah, other than that, I really don't know too much about Brazil, to be honest.
So, quer ensinar alguma coisa pro homem aí, ô Henrique?
Eu posso falar. I think the last person we spoke with was Dustin Baker. No, I've introduced him to a singer. It was Tim Maia in a movie that was Auto da Compadecida. I'm going to introduce you maybe to one of the biggest names that we have in Brazil, Machado de Assis. He was a writer. I think a woman went viral on TikTok a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months ago, making reviews about Machado de Assis. She's from the US as well. So you can write these books in English. He's brilliant. We have a couple of books by him. Dom Casmurro, Memórias Póstumas de Brás Cubas. They're just excellent books. I think you won't regret it. I know you can have them in English as well, so I think it will be easier for you to understand it. Because I think now he's I think from 19th century, so even in Portuguese we don't understand it sometimes.
Hey, that's all right. Hey, yeah, no, I'll definitely have to check that out. You guys will have to message me about that so you guys can remind me. I'll have to check it out.
Of course. So that's it, man. I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for having me on here. I'll definitely like to be on again. I like talking, you know, Minnesota Vikings with anybody, and any chance that I get, I like to talk about the Vikings all year round. And you know, that's one of my many talents is I like to do that. So yeah, other than that, yeah, thank you guys for having me on. It is definitely a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dustin.
Skol Vikes.
Skol Vikes.
Go Skol.